Hello there, I am KCondo, and this is my first animated show review, and I am doing the show Marvel Zombies. Since the entire show is on Disney+, there will be spoilers. From the moment I saw this was announced, I knew it would probably never come out. It seemed likely that it would get cancelled after all the problems with Blade and the other projects, but then the trailer came out, and not only was it one of the coolest trailers Marvel has put out for one of their shows in a while, but it had Moon Knight Blade, which I will get to later.
There's only been one Blade. There's only ever going to be one Blade.
I will admit, I feel Marvel Animation is a super hit or miss division of Marvel. What If Season 1? Hit. What If Season 2? Hit. In fact, I think What If Peter Quill Attacked Earth's Mightiest Heroes is the show's best episode. Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man? Hit. Eyes of Wakanda was fine. What If Season 3? Triple miss. And actually, infinity miss. It was such a miss, I really lost all hope in all of its animation division if it wasn't for Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man being so amazing. But let's get down to the review. There were a lot of great things about this show, and I really wish they had taken advantage of how cool it was. I might be a bit spoiled from Peacemaker, which I have reviews up for the second season on the channel if you're interested. I have some great theories. But one thing Peacemaker does well that Marvel used to be the grandmaster at is having a long release schedule. This show definitely had the cliffhangers that would have had me going crazy if they had released the episodes one by one each week. In fact, just releasing them all at once made them feel less special. But now, discussing the actual show, we finally got a Young Avengers team up. Honestly, I originally felt kind of neutral about the Young Avengers because at the point of the MCU when they teased them in the Marvels, we already had the Avengers, the X-Men, Team Loki, the Eternals, soon to be the Fantastic Four, and the soon to be the Thunderbolts / New Avengers. But then seeing Billy Maximoff being super cool and Agatha all along brought me back in. Seeing their chemistry was amazing. It felt something we have only seen in the saga with the Thunderbolts, and actually makes me kind of like their team, even if they're not quite as funny as they think they are.
Yeah. I'll alert the perk service.
But of course, I was as sad as anyone when Ironheart and Kate Bishop died. But hey, at least Ironheart has more lines in the animation than in the MCU. Also, was I the only one who knows Kate Bishop's death was very similar to the Penguins in Batman Returns?
Shit.
By the way, I am not hating on Kate Bishop. Hawkeye was one of my favorite Marvel shows, and I really like the actress in the Spider-Verse movies. Now, I love that they established this is a very different universe with very different morals, because Miss Marvel wants to destroy zombie Captain Marvel, which in this universe, Endgame never happened, so Kamala was never inspired by her, unless she looked really deep in her 80s roots, which in a zombie apocalypse, I don't think they have time for. And I guess she got her powers earlier because of the zombie apocalypse. Anyway, the battle between the Marvels showed the whole world was turned upside down. But now back to Moon Knight Blade. The one thing that annoyed me the most about What If Season 3 was that it presented a Moon Knight Blade idea and nobody did it. Seeing this in a show was mind-blowing. But I have to say, a Moon Knight Blade in a TVMA show about the zombie apocalypse where he kills at least 5 people an episode, and still keeping squeaky clean on the swearing was the most I had to suspend the belief the entire show.
Some motherfuckers are always trying to ice skate uphill.
Moving on to the second episode, I'm really glad John Krasinski got a chance to be in the show, because I honestly still think he was a better Reed Richards than Pedro Pascal, and he was the one who laid down the rules on incursions. But then we never saw him again. At least I'm pretty sure it was John Krasinski.
Who am I? I'm Jim. We've been working together for 12 years. Weird joke, Dwight.
Actually, I feel all of the characters that need more screen time got their shot in this episode, because I think I speak for a lot of people when I say we could use a little more Shang-Chi in our lives, and I know I have wanted more Zemo. If you are not familiar, Baron Zemo is a sort of Marvel Lex Luthor, and it truly makes sense he would lead the survivors because I have to mention that this utopia seems very similar to the South African kingdom from the comics that followed him blindly right before he formed the Masters of Evil, which is pretty much Marvel's version of the Legion of Doom, which is amazingly strange that they haven't made a movie for the Masters of Evil yet.
Shouldn't we have a league of our own?
Wait, I'm going off topic. Back to the show. I personally thought it was very cute that there seemed to be a lot of chemistry between Shang-Chi and Yelena, which I hope they continue in the movies because it was strangely short. Speaking of things I would like to see continue in the movies, I have to say the way they used their powers together, like the rings enforcing Kamala's shield, was so extravagant and something we haven't really seen in the multiverse saga other than in Thunderbolts. And I so hope that they continue using the fighting techniques they used in this show in Avengers Doomsday. And you know someone else who I hope is in Avengers Doomsday? Spider-Man. Which brings me to my next segment. Where the heck is Spider-Man?
I want Spider-Man!
This is the segment where I ask, where the heck is that wall crawler in the events of this show? And the answer is, oh, wait, he is in the show, killing hundreds of zombies.
Spider-Man, a psychopath wielding powers he has no right to possess.
Thanks, Marvel Zombies. And that was a more optimistic episode of Where the Heck is Spider-Man? Now, I cannot be the only one who thought the zombified Infinity War scene was awesome and a great send-off to the Black Panther one last time. And the WandaVision meets Asgard scene was also a nice blend, and I loved how no one was safe.
Let's die! Yeah, we're not gonna make it.
But it wasn't perfect. I know I am not the only one who felt that the last two episodes were very similar to Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, where Wanda wants help from a teenage girl and would kill anyone to get her. And Shang-Chi could have definitely helped by using those rings to take down these dudes. Like, there was a very much lack of rings in this battle. But I do appreciate that even though it's animation, the blood would always splatter all over the camera whenever someone got sliced. And God, when Red Guardian got turned into a zombie so recently after losing his family, every time I think I feel sorry enough for this dude, Marvel just kicks me in the shins. And then after that, it is followed by the reveal that the Nova Corps were keeping them in the planet. I felt so helpless watching the third episode, and it was definitely my favorite of the show. But I have to be a little nitpicky when I say that if Zombie Thanos got the Power Stone, I feel like the Nova Corps would have been destroyed, so it feels weird that there were so many ships, but it is an alternate universe, so fine. Going to the fourth episode, again, there were a lot of questions for how Hulk survived the pilot episode and What If Season 1, and now he has literal plot armor, but again, fine. And another question I had was, how come it is fine to see Groot get obliterated in Rocket's tiny skeleton?
That was for Groot.
But seeing Spider-Man die is just out of the question. I am not saying seeing him die would make me happy. I love Spider-Man, but we've seen this many people die, so why is it ridiculous to see Spider-Man die? But I will admit, recently Marvel has given us a lot of cliffhangers, and honestly, I couldn't care less about the Natalie cliffhanger. I have patience for the Thunderbolts post-credit scene, and I don't even care as much for the Fantastic Four Doom cliffhanger as much as I want to see what happens next with this cliffhanger, which finally explains what happened with the untested cure we had. Now on to my theories. After seeing Hulk not die from fighting Wanda in What If Zombies, and the classic rule of comics, no one stays dead but Uncle Ben, I knew from the start that Winter Soldier did not die that easily. I can totally see him using his metal arm to save himself from dying and then returning to help Kamala. So you heard it here first, that I believe if they follow up on the cliffhanger, James Buchanan Barnes will be in it. Or maybe he won't. Whatever. What did you guys think of Marvel Zombies? Should they make a season 2? Will Bucky make his grand return? Please like and subscribe. And this is Kate Mattenpour saying...
You stay classy.